Hello student, today I am going to discuss a chapter from biology. The name of the chapter is control and coordination. So human body is a complex machine performing tons of function and processes to maintain and sustain life. The human body is a complex machine. Since we are complex organism, so we perform lots of function to stay alive. Those functions include nutrition, respiration, digestion, absorption, and excretion, which we have read in life processes. Together, all these functions are being performed to stay alive, and these functions are being performed by every individual. So different organs to perform all these functions, different organs come into action, different organs are there, and those different organs enables an organism to perform all these different activity. So different organ work together in an organism to carry out different functions. This is known as coordination. So different organs work together in an organism, so those different organs working together to carry out the different functions is termed as coordination. Proper control and coordination is necessary to carry out essential functions of the life. To perform all the essential functions, there should be a proper control and coordination. So, let us start with the nervous system. Movement in organism. The ability of organisms to move certain body parts is called movement. What is movement? It is the ability of an organism to move certain body parts by itself. When an organism moves from one place to another, it is called locomotion. As an example, when an organism is moving from one place to another, so that movement is termed as locomotion. We have already discussed about locomotion in the tissue chapter, class 9. So organisms show movement in response to stimuli. The organisms shows movement in response to stimuli. What is the meaning of stimuli? Stimuli is a sudden touch. So we all respond to stimuli. So introduction. Organisms move in response to various kind of stimuli like light, heat, nutrient, food, mate, etc. Organisms move in response to various kind of stimuli like light, heat, nutrients, mate, etc. That means we respond to various factors. So all the activity in animals are controlled and coordinated by the nervous and endocrine system. All the activity in an organism, especially animals, they are controlled and coordinated by the nervous system, and along with the nervous system by the endocrine system. So you have already read about the endocrine system in class 8. So just to revise it, just for a quick revision, in the endocrine system we have already read about some of the hormones which are secreted by the endocrine glands. You have already read about the fact that endocrine glands are ductless glands. So hormones in plant coordinate the movement. Now if we consider the plant, how do the plant respond to certain stimuli? How do the plant respond? So in plants also there are secretions of hormones, and apart from plant, in animals even there are secretion of hormones which control and coordinate the activities happening in our body. So the nervous system. The nervous system consists of a specialized nerve cell known as neuron. The nervous system consists of nerve cells called neuron. What is a neuron? A neuron is a unit of nerve cell. A typical neuron consists of cell body, axon, and dendrites. You can just see it in the figure. This is the cell body, this is the axon, and this is the dendrite. Cell body contains nucleus. This is the nucleus. Dendrite detects the information from the environment. This information is picked up by the dendritic tip and sets off electrical impulse which travel from dendrite to cell body and then to axon. So dendrite, what is the work of the dendrite? The work of the dendrite is to detect the information and this information travels in the body of the neuron in the form of electrical impulse, in the form of electrical signal. It travels from the dendrite to the cell body, and from the cell body it goes up to the axon. It goes up to the nerve ending. Then next comes reflex action. What is a reflex action? A sudden response to some environment stimulus is known as a reflex. For example, when we sudden take off our hand from the flame without thinking. So what is reflex action? That means doing something without thinking of it. Means whenever you have done something without being prepared of it and without being thinking of it, without thinking you have done something. As an example, you have gone to someone's home and that person have said to sit. There was a sofa and you were to sit in that sofa. Suddenly, while you were sitting, hmm, there was a pin in that sofa, on that sofa. When you will sit, when you will get the pain of it, so what will you do? No one will say you to stand up. But as soon as that pin gives you a pain, you will suddenly rise up. So that is what the action which you have shown, it was not at all pre-planned. You just stood up after getting the prick of that pin. So that comes under reflex action. Reflex action means something which you have done instantly without thinking about it. So for example, we sudden take off our hand from the flame without thinking. Reflex arc. Sensory neuron synapse in the spinal cord before it passes to the brain. This pathway is known as reflex arc. Sensory neuron synapse in the spinal cord before it passes to the brain. So sensory neuron, what happens to the sensory neuron? It processes in the spinal cord before it passes to the brain. So that pathway is known as reflex arc. If you just closely follow this particular figure, then you can understand the reflex arc. Then the next one is nervous system. Vertebrates nervous system is classified as central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. That means our nervous system is classified into two categories. First one is central nervous system and the second one is peripheral nervous system. Brain and spinal cord are the parts of central nervous system. That means the central nervous system or CNS is composed of the brain and the spinal cord. Together you will call it as the central nervous system. Peripheral nervous system, that is PNS, consists of autonomic nervous system and somatic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system consists of spinal nerves and cranial nerves. So the next topic is human brain. So human brain is classified into three categories. First one is forebrain, next one is midbrain, and the next one is hindbrain. Then after that you will get pons, you will get medulla oblongata, then you will get the spinal cord. As I have said you, divisions of human brain, the human brain is divided into three parts, that is the forebrain, midbrain and the hindbrain. So let us see what this forebrain is. The forebrain consists of cerebrum, hypothalamus and thalamus. Forebrain is specialized in hearing, sight, smell, etc. That means there are specific parts for hearing, for sight, sight means seeing, for smell, etc. So it also controls voluntary movements in our body, such as movement of leg muscles. Now, what is the meaning of voluntary move? What is the meaning of voluntary movement? Voluntary movement means those movement which are can be controlled by us. For example, moving our hand, moving our legs. When we want to, we can move our hand. When we don't want to, we will not move our hand. So this will come under voluntary movement. So those voluntary movements are also controlled by the forebrain. So center for hunger is located in a separate part of the forebrain. Now the part for hunger, the center for hunger is also located in the forebrain only. Cerebrum or the cerebral cortex consists of four lobes: parietal lobe, temporal lobe, occipital lobe, and frontal lobe. Now in that cerebrum, there are four more parts, that is parietal lobe, temporal lobe, occipital lobe, and frontal lobe. You are going to understand all this in your higher classes. So next comes midbrain. The midbrain is located between the forebrain and the hindbrain. The midbrain means the middle portion, the middle part of the brain, the middle brain. So that midbrain is located just between the forebrain and the hindbrain. It controls certain involuntary actions in the body. It controls the involuntary actions happening in our body. What is the meaning of involuntary actions? Actions which are beyond our control is involuntary action. As an example, the movement of our heart, that is the heartbeat. You cannot control your heartbeat. Next one is the movement, the contraction, relaxation of our chest. This is also an involuntary action. So this involuntary action is associated with the midbrain. The midbrain looks into all these involuntary actions happening in our body. Then the next comes hindbrain. The hindbrain consists of pons, medulla, and cerebellum. It controls salivation, blood pressure, and vomiting. You can just see the hindbrain. It controls salivation, blood pressure, and vomiting. Cerebellum also controls certain important functions such as riding a bicycle, picking up a pencil. It also maintains posture and balance of the body. That means cerebellum. What is the work of it? It controls, first of all, it controls salivation, it controls our blood pressure, and it controls vomiting. That means vomiting is associated with a part of the hindbrain. Now cerebellum, it also controls functions such as riding a bicycle, picking up a pencil. That means when we are reading this line, that means somewhat a particular thing is coming into our mind, that hindbrain is associated or it maintains the balance of our body. So it also maintains posture and balance of our body. Then next comes cranium. What is the meaning of this cranium? It is the skull under which our brain is fitted. Brain is protected by a bony case known as cranium. So cranium also contains a fluid filled in it known as cerebrospinal fluid that protects the brain from mechanical shock and injury. And spinal cord is protected by the vertebral column. Now the brain is protected by the cranium, but in between the cranium and the brain there is a fluid which is known as cerebrospinal fluid that protects the brain from shock and injury. And the spinal cord is protected by the vertebral column. So in the next part of our class, we are going to discuss about how nervous tissue causes action, and we are going to talk about the coordination implant. Right after that, in that part, the coordination implant, we are going to discuss about certain hormones of the plant as well as hormones of animals even. Thank you.